On the other hand, hydrophilic hormones belonging to group number 2 cannot cross the plasma membrane. So you guess it right that these hormones have their receptors found on the surface of the cell. The receptors are on the cell membrane. So the hydrophilic hormones bind to the receptors on the cell membrane and communicate with intracellular metabolic processes by means of intermediaries. These intermediaries, molecules that serve as a bridge to the hormone receptor complex and the intracellular function or the intracellular activation, are called secondary messengers. Right? We'll talk about secondary messengers in a while after we further describe the differences and similarities between group 1 and group 2 hormones. No? So in group 2 hormones, we identify the hormone as the primary messenger or the first messenger, and secondary messengers are intermediaries or intermediate molecules that ensure the ensure the transmission of the signal from hormone recognition and binding to the target cell up to the intracellular or until the intracellular function or intracellular effect of the hormone is effectuated. Um, Let's further describe group 1 and group 2 hormones. Group 1 hormones and group 2 hormones are generally divided based on their solubility. So we have already introduced that. Group 1 hormones are lipid loving while group 2 hormones are water loving. In terms of their half-life, their plasma half-life, group 1 hormones can attain half-life of about hours to days, no? So they may have very long half-lives, primarily because of the fact that these hormones localize themselves inside the cell, no? The other hand, for group 2, since these molecules are hydrophilic, they cannot really cross the plasma membrane of the target cell. We can expect that these hormones have shorter half-lives compared to group 1. No? The receptors we already have identified and described this part. No, so for group 1, the receptors are found within the cell, while group 2, the receptors are on the plasma membrane. Now, with regards to mediating signal transduction or ensuring that signal transduction is well propagated until the effect is magnified or amplified, group 1 lipophilic hormones actually use their receptor hormone complex as the mediator of the hormone effect or the mediator of signal transduction. On the other hand, for group number 2, hydrophilic hormones induce the production of secondary messengers like CAMP, CGMP, ionic calcium, metabolic complexes of phosphoinositides, and phosphatases kinases cascades. No? So in a little while we'll talk about these secondary messengers. No? Now lastly, for the types, common types of group 1 and group 2, or I'd say particular types of hormones under group 1 and group 2. In group 1, we have steroids, iodothyronines, calcitriol, and retinoids. They're lipophilic. While for group number 2, proteins or peptide hormones, glycoprotein hormones, and catecholamines, no? Like epinephrine. Alright. Let's further talk about some examples of secondary messengers in relation to group 2 hormones. Okay. Let me show you the let me show you how the secondary messengers look like. So these 5 secondary messengers: cyclic adenosine monophosphate, cyclic guanosine monophosphate, ionic calcium, IP3 or inositol triphosphate, and diacyl glycerol. All these molecules